My son sold the only handmade piece of his mother's that I had kept for myself. He did it while I was at the grocery store buying food for him. When I asked where the cedar chest had gone, Adam did not apologize. He leaned against my kitchen counter and said, "Mom's gone, Dad. She doesn't need an old wooden box." His wife kept scrolling through pictures of their Las Vegas hotel. My granddaughter looked down at her coffee and repeated the excuse her parents had given her. Grandma probably would have wanted us to make memories instead of letting it collect dust. They had sold the chest to pay for their vacation. 3 hours later, the antique dealer called me. "Mr. Mercer, he said your son never checked the depth of this piece." "What do you mean? The inside is almost 2 inches shallower than the outside. Your wife built a false bottom." My hand tightened around the phone. What was underneath it? A brass key and a sealed note with the name Thomas written across the front. Thomas was my name. Then the dealer read me the first line. "If you are holding this key, Tom, someone has finally made you feel like a visitor in the home we built together." In the next room, my son and his wife were using my television to compare casino restaurants. And for the first time since Ruth died, I wondered whether she had known exactly what would happen to me after she was gone. That morning would have been her 70th birthday. For 44 years, Ruth began every birthday by insisting she did not want anyone making a fuss. Then she spent the rest of the day quietly checking whether I had remembered the chocolate cake. She had been gone for almost 3 years. I had planned to make coffee, sit beside the bedroom window, and open the cedar chest she built during the first year of our marriage. Instead, I found an empty space at the foot of our bed. The rug beneath it was lighter where the chest had protected it from the sun. For several seconds, I stood staring at that pale rectangle. The chest came to my knee and was wide enough to hold folded blankets, photographs, and the letters Ruth and I had exchanged before we could afford long-distance telephone calls. She built it from cedar boards salvaged from her father's barn. Ruth had learned woodworking from him as a girl long before anyone in her small Tennessee town thought a daughter should know how to use a planer or repair a mortise joint. A dogwood blossom made from pale maple was inlaid into the lid. One petal sat slightly lower than the others. Whenever I teased her about it, Ruth ran her thumb across the uneven edge and said, "That's how you know a person made it instead of a machine." After she died, I donated most of her clothes to our church closet. Her books went to the middle school where she had taught art for nearly 30 years. Her larger restoration tools went to a community workshop, but I kept the chest. Inside were her handwritten recipes, the scarf she wore on our final anniversary, and a photograph taken outside our first apartment in Knoxville. I was 25 in that photograph. Ruth was 23. The apartment had peeling paint, one working stove burner, and a bathroom window that would not close during winter. We had $60 in the bank and looked happier than people with $60 had any right to look. The chest was the one piece of Ruth's work I had refused to let anyone move. That should have told me immediately who had taken it. But grief has a way of making a man bargain with obvious answers. I checked the garage first. Boxes from my daughter-in-law's online boutique covered one wall. Kendra sold candles, discount clothing, costume jewelry, and decorative signs through a business she called Southern Magnolia Living. She referred to herself as a small business owner. In practice, that meant she used my garage dining room electricity and internet without paying toward any of them. The cedar chest was not there. I checked the guest room. My 22-year-old granddaughter, Madison, had transformed it into what she called a content studio. Ring lights stood beside clothing racks. Makeup covered the dresser. Unopened packages formed a tower beneath the window. She was asleep with one foot outside the blanket, and her phone still glowing beside her face. The chest was not there either. I searched the den, laundry room, and backyard shed. By the time I entered the kitchen, my heart was beating hard enough to make my shirt move. Adam sat at the table wearing sweatpants and one of my old Tennessee Volunteers shirts. He was scrolling through sports news. Kendra stood at the counter pouring iced coffee into a tall glass. Neither asked why I looked frightened. Adam, I said, where is your mother's cedar chest? He did not look up. What chest? The one from my bedroom. Kendra's hand stopped halfway to her glass. That small pause gave me the answer before my son spoke. I sold it. For a moment, the sentence did not make sense. You did what? We needed the money. For what? Kendra turned her tablet away, but not before I saw a photograph of a hotel swimming pool. My birthday trip, she said. What trip? She sighed. Vegas. We've been talking about it for weeks. They had not discussed it with me. They had announced it. 3 weeks earlier, Kendra showed me photographs of a hotel on the Strip and said they needed $2,500 for flights, meals, and experiences. When I refused, Adam accused me of caring more about my savings than my family. Kendra spent 2 days slamming cabinet doors. Madison posted something online about older relatives who had money but refused to invest in family memories. I thought the argument was finished. Apparently, they had only found another source of funding. You entered my bedroom, I said. You took something that belonged to me and you sold it. Adam finally placed his phone on the table. It belonged to Mom. Your mother left it with me. I'm her son. That does not make it yours. It was an old box full of cards and blankets. It was the only thing she made that I kept for myself. You still have the whole house. The sentence came out casually. That was what made it so revealing. The house. That was how Adam had begun to see his mother. Not as the woman who raised him. As a collection of things waiting for the right moment to change hands. Where did you sell it? Why? Because I am getting it back. He laughed once. You refuse to help your family take one vacation, but you'll waste money buying back furniture. It is my money. There you go again. He leaned back in the chair. My money. My house. My furniture. Do you ever listen to yourself? I looked around my kitchen. Kendra's business receipts covered the counter. Adam's dirty breakfast plate sat beside the sink. Madison's supplements occupied half a cabinet. The hotel reservation remained open on the tablet. My name was on the deed, the insurance policy, the utility bills, the grocery receipts, and the property tax statement. Yet my son was offended that I still used the word my. Where is it? I repeated. Kendra crossed her arms. Willow Creek Antiques, on Alcoa Highway. How much did you get? $1,100. You sold 44 years of your mother's life for $1,100. Thomas, please, Kendra said. Don't turn this into another grief episode. Another grief episode. That was what they called it whenever I objected to Ruth's belongings being moved, used, or thrown away. Adam lowered his voice. The hotel deposit is already paid. If you make trouble with the dealer, we don't have the money to return. That is not my problem. You would ruin our trip over a piece of furniture. You stole from me. His expression hardened. I did not steal from my own father. You entered my bedroom without permission. I live here. You sold something that was not yours. It was Mom's. And Ruth is gone, Kendra said. Keeping everything exactly as she left it isn't healthy. The refrigerator door opened. Madison entered wearing an oversized sweatshirt from the college she had left after one semester. What's going on? Grandpa found out about the chest, Kendra said. Madison reached for a bottle of cold brew. Oh, you knew. Mom mentioned it in the family chat. I was not included in that family chat. Did it bother you? Her eyes moved toward her parents before returning to me. It was just sitting there. Your grandmother built it. I know. She kept our family's history inside it. Madison twisted the cap from her drink. Grandma probably would have wanted us to enjoy something instead of letting it collect dust. No one corrected her. Adam picked up his phone again. Kendra stirred her coffee. They looked like 3 people waiting for an old man to stop making breakfast uncomfortable. I returned to my bedroom and closed the door. My hands shook as I sat on the edge of the bed. For several minutes, I stared at the faded rectangle on the rug. Then I searched for Willow Creek Antiques. A man answered on the 4th ring. Willow Creek, this is Martin. I'm calling about a cedar chest that may have been sold yesterday. What does it look like? About 30 inches wide. Brass hinges. A maple dogwood blossom inlaid into the lid. There was a pause. I know the piece. My breath caught. Do you still have it? Yes, sir. My son took it without permission. My late wife built it. The man exhaled slowly. I was afraid something wasn't right. The fellow who brought it in seemed eager to leave. How much do I need to bring? I gave him 1,100. I'll pay you 1,100. You should come down, he said. But there's something you need to know first. What? I was inspecting the construction. The interior measurements didn't match the exterior. What does that mean? Your wife built a false bottom. There's a narrow compartment beneath the cedar lining. My hand closed around the phone. What was inside? A brass key and a sealed note. It has Thomas written across the front. Yes, that's me. I opened it only far enough to identify the owner. What does it say? He hesitated. The first line says, "If you are holding this key, Tom, someone has finally made you feel like a visitor in the home we built together." The ceiling fan turned slowly above me. Downstairs, I heard Kendra laugh at something Adam had said. "Please don't sell the chest." "I won't. I'm leaving now. It'll be here when you arrive." I changed clothes, found my wallet, and removed emergency cash from a lockbox in the closet. When I opened the bedroom door, Adam was waiting in the hallway. "You called the store?" "Yes." His jaw tightened. "You can't tell them I stole it." "What word would you prefer?" "I'm your son." "That is a relationship, Adam. It is not permission. We already spent the money. Then you should have spent your own." Kendra appeared behind him. "If we have to return it, we'll lose the deposit on the helicopter tour." I looked at her. "Then lose it. You know how long I've wanted to do that. And you know how long I was married to Ruth." She folded her arms. "You act like you're the only person who lost her. I am beginning to believe I'm the only person here who remembers she was more than property." I walked past them. Willow Creek Antiques occupied the final unit of a faded strip mall between a tax office and a lawn equipment repair shop. Old rocking chairs stood beneath the front windows. A metal milk can and a wooden Coca-Cola crate sat beside the entrance. Inside the store smelled of dust, leather, and furniture polish. A man in his late 50s stood behind the counter. He wore a denim shirt with the sleeves rolled to his elbows and reading glasses on a cord around his neck. "Mr. Mercer?" "Yes, I'm Martin Alvarez." He came around the counter and shook my hand. "I'm sorry about your wife." "Thank you. And I'm sorry about how the chest came here." He led me toward a work table at the rear of the shop. The chest sat beneath a canvas cloth. Martin pulled it away. The moment I saw the maple dogwood on the lid, my eyes filled. The cedar had darkened with age. One brass hinge carried a scratch from the time Ruth moved the chest by herself and struck the bedroom door. I rested my fingers on the uneven dogwood pedal. For 1 second, I could almost hear her. "That's how you know a person made it." "She built this?" Martin asked. "During our first year of marriage, she knew what she was doing. She would have shown you every mistake before letting you compliment it. People who build good things usually do." Martin opened the chest and removed the blanket's recipe cards and photographs. The bottom looked ordinary until he pressed against a narrow strip beside the rear hinge. A cedar panel lifted. Beneath it was a shallow compartment containing a brass key and a folded note protected inside a plastic sleeve. Thomas was written across the front. Ruth's handwriting. The same handwriting that appeared on grocery lists, birthday cards, and notes tucked into my lunch for 4 decades. My knees weakened. Martin pulled over a chair. "I'll give you a minute." I opened the sleeve. "Tom, if you are holding this key, someone has finally made you feel like a visitor in the home we built together. The key belongs to Locker 17 at the Blue Ridge Makers Cooperative. Ask for Nora Bell. She has instructions to let you inside after seeing your identification and my death certificate. Do not tell Adam what you find until you understand why I hid it. You have always wanted to see the best in him. This time, look at what he does instead of what you hope he means. Love always, Ruth." I read it 3 times. The warning about Adam frightened me most. Ruth loved our son. She sat beside him through childhood asthma attacks, helped him study for tests, and once drove 3 hours to pick him up after his college roommate abandoned him at a concert. Why would she specifically tell me not to trust him with whatever the key opened? Martin returned carrying the photograph from our first apartment. I removed this before cleaning anything. I accepted it carefully. Ruth stood beside me in a yellow dress, her arm through mine. We were young, broke, and smiling, as though the building behind us were a mansion. Was my son alone when he came in, I asked. A woman waited in the car. He kept checking his phone. Did he look through the chest? No. He said everything inside was included. Adam had sold our photograph, Ruth's recipes, the birthday card she saved from him. He had not even looked. How much do I owe you? 1,100. You could sell it for more. I could. Then why return it for the same amount? Martin looked at the chest. I sell old furniture. I don't sell stolen memories. I counted out the cash. He wrote a receipt stating that the chest had been returned to its original owner after a disputed sale. Then he helped me carry it to my truck. Whatever that key opens, he said. I hope it gives you answers. I'm not sure I want them. He nodded. Most important answers feel that way. The Blue Ridge Makers Cooperative occupied an old textile warehouse outside Knoxville. Ruth had used its workshop for years after the school district removed most of the woodworking equipment from her art room. She restored furniture there on weekends, usually telling me she was helping another teacher or preparing a student project. A woman in her 60s met me at the front desk. I'm Nora Bell. I showed her the key, Ruth's note, and the documents she had requested. Nora's eyes softened when she saw Ruth's name. She told me you might come someday. What did she say? That you would probably apologize for inconveniencing me before asking where the locker was. I almost smiled. That sounds like her. Nora led me through a workshop filled with long tables, clamps, hand tools, and the smell of sawdust. At the rear was a row of tall metal lockers. Number 17 opened with Ruth's brass key. Inside stood a narrow oak cabinet wrapped in a moving blanket. A fireproof metal box rested on the lower shelf. There was also a ledger, a sealed envelope, and a photograph of Ruth beside a restored church pew. Nora touched the cabinet. She finished this about 6 months before she got sick. She never brought it home. She said it wasn't ready to be seen. Nora left me alone in a small workroom. I unwrapped the cabinet first. It was a writing desk, narrow enough for an apartment, but built with Ruth's usual care. The oak had been sanded until the surface felt soft beneath my fingers. Inside one drawer was a brass nameplate. For Tom, for whatever comes next. My vision blurred. I opened the fireproof box. Inside were $24,000 in cash, several savings bonds, and a small passbook from a savings account Ruth had funded through her restoration work. The total was a little over $41,000. Not a fortune, but enough to repair a home or survive without asking anyone's permission. I opened the envelope. My Tom, if you are reading this, I am either gone or no longer able to explain it myself. First, do not be angry about the money. Every dollar came from furniture I restored after school or on weekends. Our bills were paid. Our retirement was funded. You never went without, so I could save it. I kept it separate, because I wanted you to have something that could not slowly disappear into someone else's emergency. Someone else's emergency. That was how every request from Adam arrived. His truck needed repairs. Kendra's boutique needed inventory. Madison needed a laptop. Their rent increased. A credit card was late. There was always urgency. There was rarely repayment. I continued reading. I love our son. Nothing I write changes that. But we have rescued Adam so many times that he no longer experiences help as generosity. He experiences it as proof that his problems belong to us. Do you remember the month after my surgery? He promised to drive me to physical therapy while you were working. He missed 2 appointments because he was busy, then came by that weekend to ask for money toward a fishing boat. You told me not to take it personally. I did not tell you how deeply it hurt. I remembered. Ruth had sat in her recliner with one arm in a sling and said she could call a rideshare. I defended Adam. He had a young family. He was stressed. He forgot things. Ruth looked at me for a long moment. Then she said, "You always find the kindest explanation for him." I had accepted it as a compliment. Now I understood that it had been a warning. The next paragraph brought back another memory. 2 years before Ruth died, Adam suggested we add his name to the house. He said it would make everything easier if one of us became ill. Ruth refused before he finished the sentence. The kitchen went silent. After Adam left, I told her she had embarrassed him. She stood at the sink, looking into the backyard. He didn't ask how he could help us stay here, she said. He asked how he could make sure the house stayed connected to him. At the time, I accused her of being suspicious. Her letter continued. The conversation about the deed frightened me more than I admitted. Adam was not asking how to protect us. He was asking how to protect his expectation. Kendra encourages that part of him because it benefits her. She speaks about family when she wants access and independence whenever anyone expects responsibility. Madison is still young enough to become different, but only if someone stops teaching her that other people exist to provide comfort. If they move into the house after I am gone, make it temporary. Set an end date. Require them to contribute. Do not confuse noise with companionship simply because grief has made the rooms feel empty. An empty home can be filled again. A home full of people who do not respect you can make you lonelier than silence ever will. I lowered the pages. After Ruth's funeral, Adam visited almost every day. He brought groceries twice, repaired a loose porch rail, and watched baseball with me during evenings when the house felt too large. 3 months later, he said his lease was ending and asked whether his family could stay for a little while. I was grateful for footsteps, for voices, for cabinet doors opening in the kitchen. I agreed without asking for an end date. 2 years and 8 months later, they were still there. They had never paid rent. During the first few months, Adam occasionally bought groceries. Then he lost his warehouse job after repeated absences and called the situation temporary. Kendra's boutique never produced enough money to cover household expenses. Madison left community college and described herself online as a lifestyle creator. Without noticing when it happened, I became the only person supporting 4 adults. Ruth's next lines were underlined. The house is a home, Tom. It is not Adam's future prize. You and I paid for it with decades of work. Do not let anyone discuss your death as though it is part of their financial plan. The money in this box is not an inheritance. It is room to choose. Repair the house. Move somewhere smaller. Take a trip. Help someone who will value it. Spend it on nothing at all. But do not hand it to someone who has already decided that loving you means waiting for what you own. The final page was shorter. You have spent your life fixing things. Engines. Leaking faucets. Broken lawnmowers, family problems. Not everything should be fixed by you. Some people must repair the damage they create themselves. Do not make yourself smaller to keep Adam comfortable. Do not mistake being needed for being loved well. And do not spend the rest of your life guarding my memory so closely that you forget to build a life after me. When the time comes, choose your peace. I chose you every day since 1976. Choose yourself at least once. Always, Ruth. I sat in that workroom until the afternoon light shifted across the floor. At some point, Nora brought me water. I folded Ruth's letter and placed it inside my jacket. The money and bonds remained locked in the fireproof box. The writing desk remained wrapped in the workshop. I needed time before bringing either home, but I understood what Ruth wanted me to do with myself. On the drive back, I noticed things I had trained myself not to see. Adam's SUV occupied the center of my driveway, while my truck was squeezed beside the hedge. Kendra's packages filled the porch. An extension cord ran through the dining room window because she had installed extra lights without asking. A delivery driver greeted her by name, but looked confused when I opened my own front door. I carried the cedar chest inside. Adam and Kendra were comparing Las Vegas restaurants on my television. Madison stood near the window holding up 3 dresses for her phone. All of them looked at the chest. Adam stood. You bought it back? Yes. You paid $1,100. Yes. He rubbed both hands over his face. Unbelievable. What is? You wouldn't give your family money for one trip, but you gave a stranger $1,100 for something that already belonged to us. It stopped belonging to us when you sold it. Kendra lowered her tablet. Did the dealer say anything? He said you were eager to leave. Adam's expression shifted. Did he threaten to report me? Number. Good. The word came too quickly. Madison ended her recording. Was something hidden inside? I looked at her. Why would you ask? The dealer texted Dad and said he found another compartment. Adam glared at her. What was in it? He asked. A key. To what? That is not your concern. His mouth tightened. Mom hid something inside a chest that belongs to her family. I was her family. You know what I mean? Yes, I said. I do. Kendra stood. Was it money? I did not answer. Her eyes widened. Oh my God, it was. Adam stepped closer. How much? I lifted the chest. Move, Dad. Move away from me. He did, but only after a long pause. I carried the chest into my bedroom and locked the door. For the next hour, their voices moved through the hallway. They were not wondering why Ruth had hidden a key. They were calculating. That evening, I took out a yellow legal pad. At the top, I wrote, "Look at the house as it is." Then I walked through every room. I photographed Kendra's inventory filling the garage, the dining table covered in labels, tape, and half-packed orders, Adam's belongings blocking the shed, Madison's clothes, makeup, and packages filling the guest room. In the kitchen, I found the grocery receipt from 2 days earlier. $328. Steaks Adam requested. Oat milk Kendra preferred. Supplements Madison ordered. Prepared meals they had decided not to eat. The electric bill was almost twice what Ruth and I used to pay. The internet plan had been upgraded for Madison's videos. Several subscriptions I did not recognize appeared on my credit card. I gathered 1 year of household expenses, property tax, insurance, electricity, water, internet, food, repairs, lawn care. My monthly household costs averaged more than $2,600. Adam's average contribution was $0. At 10 that night, they laughed in the living room while watching videos of their hotel pool. I changed every banking password. The next morning, I visited my bank and removed Adam as my emergency contact. I had added him after Ruth died because I feared something might happen to me. The employee asked whether I wanted to cancel the second debit card attached to my household account. I only have one card. She turned the monitor. There is another in your son's name. I stared at the screen. When was it issued? 17 months ago. I never authorized it. She printed the transactions. Gas stations, restaurants, a sporting goods store, 2 cash withdrawals, more than $3,400. Cancel it. When I returned home, Adam was waiting in the kitchen. My card was declined. I canceled it. His face darkened. You can't do that without warning me. It was attached to my account. You gave me that card. I did not. You probably forgot. I remember what I gave you. You haven't been yourself since Mom died. For 1 second, I had no answer. The accusation hurt, because part of me still feared age and grief had made me less reliable than I believed. Adam saw my hesitation and mistook it for weakness. You need to stop making financial decisions until someone evaluates you. Kendra appeared behind him. We're worried about you, Thomas. Neither face held worry, only opportunity. I returned to my bedroom. For 10 minutes, I sat with Ruth's letter spread across my knees. Then I understood what Adam had done. He was not concerned about my mind. He was using my age to protect his access. When I returned to the kitchen, he was still there. I remember every promise you made when you moved in, I said. I remember every bill you said you would repay. And I remember that I never authorized that card. Dad, I also remember your mother refusing to put your name on this house because she understood what you wanted before I did. His expression changed. You found something about me in her letter. I found the truth about both of us. That afternoon, I reclaimed the dining room. I packed Kendra's boutique inventory into plastic bins and moved them into the garage. When she returned, she stood in the doorway as though I had destroyed her livelihood. What did you do? I cleared my table. This is my work area. It is my dining room. I have orders. You can pack them in your bedroom or rent a workspace. She laughed. Rent with what money? That is a question every business owner should be able to answer. You never respected my business. I gave it free storage, electricity, internet, and furniture for 2 years. That is what family does. No, I said. That is what I did. That evening, they ordered pizza and ate in the living room without offering me any. I made soup and sat alone at the cleared table. The quiet did not feel like punishment. It felt like space. During the next week, I made small changes. I installed a lock on my bedroom. I moved Ruth's remaining restoration tools to locker 17. I opened a post office box after finding 2 bank letters already opened in the kitchen trash. I changed the internet password. When Madison complained that her television no longer connected, I told her she could have the guest password after contributing $50 toward the bill. She stared at me. I don't have $50. You received 3 packages today. They were gifted. Sell one. She posted about me that night. I learned because my neighbor Susan Patel knocked on my door the next morning holding her phone. Tom, I thought you should see this. Madison had posted a photograph of me sitting alone at the dining table. I had not known she took it. The caption read, "Living with an aging relative is harder than people understand." We gave up our independence to make sure Grandpa isn't alone. But lately, he has become paranoid about money and keeps forgetting decisions he made. Please be kind to caregivers. We're doing our best. Hundreds of people had liked it. The comments praised Madison and Kendra. Your grandfather is lucky to have you. Dementia can change people. Caregiving is such a thankless job. I read every comment. Susan watched my face. Is any of this true? Number. I didn't think so. They moved in because their lease ended. I remember. They do not care for me. I know. They don't drive me to appointments, manage medication, or pay bills. I see you doing those things yourself. I handed the phone back. Could you send me screenshots? Of course. Please don't answer publicly. Why not? They expect an angry reaction. I would rather answer when I am ready. I quietly saved every public post. Madison had made several. In one, she said she could not travel because she was managing Grandpa's household. The video had been recorded while I was buying their groceries. Kendra described herself as a full-time family caregiver who ran a business between medical responsibilities. My only regular medical appointment was an annual physical. Another post showed my house, holding down the Mercer family legacy until it becomes ours to protect, until it becomes ours. Not if, not someday. In their minds, my death was a transfer date. 2 nights later, I heard Adam and Kendra talking in the garage. The interior door was partly open. We need to get ahead of him, Kendra said. He'll calm down, Adam replied. He changed the bank passwords. So, he found something in the chest. The house is worth more than anything Mom hid. The bluntness of his voice stopped me. What if he sells? Kendra asked. He won't. You don't know that. He kept her clothes for almost a year. He's not selling the house. And if he tries, we tell everyone he isn't thinking clearly. That might not be enough. My cousin works in real estate. He can tell me what we need to get my name added. He'll never sign. People sign insurance forms without reading every page. There was no hesitation in his voice. No shame. Adam was not being controlled by his wife. He was leading the conversation. The house is worth more. Get my name added. Tell everyone he isn't thinking clearly. I stepped backward before they saw me. The next morning I paid for 1 hour with a local attorney. His office was above a dentist's practice. He wore a wrinkled navy jacket and spoke plainly. I told him I did not want a lawsuit. I did not want months of hearings or folders filled with paperwork. I want my house back. He reviewed the deed, confirmed that my name was the only one listed, and prepared a 1-page notice giving Adam's family 45 days to move. No complicated contract, no dramatic threat, only a clear date. That is all the law you need today, he said. The rest is family. I carried the notice home inside my jacket. That evening, while searching for an envelope, I found an old photograph in the desk drawer. Adam was 5 years old. He stood in our backyard holding a plastic hammer, grinning, because Ruth had told him he looked like a professional carpenter. I sat on the bed with the photograph in one hand and the move-out notice in the other. For 10 minutes, I nearly tore the notice apart. I remembered his feverish forehead against my shoulder, his first day of school, the night he called from college because his car had broken down. I remembered every version of my son except the man in my kitchen. Then I heard Kendra speaking in the hallway. When the house is ours, this wall has to come down. Adam answered, I know. We'll open the whole floor. What about his bedroom? That can become Madison's studio. The photograph remained in my hand. The notice remained intact. On Sunday evening, I placed 3 copies on the dining table. Adam read the first paragraph and laughed. What is this? Your move-out date. Kendra grabbed the paper. 45 days. Yes, You're throwing out your own son. I am ending a temporary arrangement that lasted almost 3 years. Adam stood. Number. He said it calmly, as though he were rejecting a restaurant table. You do not get to say no. This is my childhood home. It is my current home. Mom built half the furniture in this place for us. Your mother built a home for her husband and child. She did not build you a prize for outliving us. His face reddened. I have a right to this place. No, you don't. I grew up here. That gives you memories. It does not give you ownership. Kendra tore the notice in half. There. I removed another copy from my folder. The certified one arrives tomorrow. Madison pulled off her headphones. Where are we supposed to go? That is what the 45 days are for. Adam stepped closer. You're not thinking clearly. I am. You're still grieving. Yes, you've become paranoid about money. I discovered a bank card you never told me about. That was for the family. You were planning to trick me into putting your name on the house. He froze. Kendra looked at him. You heard us? Yes. Adam recovered quickly. We were discussing how to protect the property. From whom? He did not answer. Kendra pointed toward the hallway. You don't need this much space. Give the house to Adam and move somewhere smaller. Even Madison looked at her. I studied Kendra's face. You want me to give you a paid-off house and spend my own money leaving it. We would take care of it. You do not take care of the rooms you occupy. That isn't fair. There are boutique boxes blocking the garage door. My business. Your business has operated rent-free for 2 years. Adam moved closer. If you do this, you will lose your family. No matter how old a child becomes part of a father, still hears the small voice that once called him from a dark bedroom. But I also heard Ruth. An empty home can be filled again. A home full of people who do not respect you can make you lonelier than silence ever will. If access to my house is the only thing keeping you in my life, I said, then I have already lost you. I walked into my bedroom and closed the door. Behind me, Kendra began shouting. Madison cried. Adam struck the wall with the flat of his hand. I sat on the bed and shook for 20 minutes. Strength did not feel powerful. It felt like grief standing upright. The following weeks were miserable. Adam stopped speaking to me except to question my judgment. Kendra packed orders loudly at midnight and left boxes in the hallway. Madison posted vague messages about toxic grandparents. Relatives began calling. My younger sister Linda phoned first. Adam says you're putting them on the street. They have 45 days. He says he has been taking care of you. What care did he describe? Linda hesitated. Managing the house. He does not pay bills, cook, mow the lawn, or drive me anywhere. He said your memory has been slipping. My memory was good enough to remember the $2,000 he borrowed from you last Christmas. Silence. How did you know about that? He asked me first. Did he repay you? Number. Then consider why he called you before believing him. 2 days later, my nephew Luke called. He did not accuse me of anything. He asked whether I needed help changing the garage lock. The worst part was not the open hostility. It was the performance. Whenever anyone visited, Kendra became gentle. She asked whether I had taken my medication. She offered tea. She placed a hand on my shoulder and spoke slowly, as though ordinary sentences might confuse me. When the visitor left, her face changed. You embarrassed us, she said after a woman from church stopped by. How? You told her you drive yourself. I do. You made it sound like we don't help. You don't. We live here. That is not help. One afternoon, I returned from the grocery store and found a contractor measuring the dining room wall. Kendra stood beside her. What is happening? We're getting ideas. For what? Opening the kitchen into this room. When? She glanced at the contractor. The woman looked uncomfortable. I was told the owners wanted an estimate. I am the owner. The contractor lowered her tablet. I'm sorry, I misunderstood. She left within minutes. Kendra followed me into the kitchen. You humiliated me. You invited someone to redesign my house after my death. That is not what I said. What did you say? That the house would stay in the family. It will not. Her expression hardened. No one will believe you over all three of us. That sentence decided what I did next. Every summer, Ruth hosted a backyard supper for family neighbors and former students. She cooked pulled pork in an old slow cooker, made too much cornbread, and insisted store-bought potato salad was evidence of moral decline. After she died, I stopped hosting. That year, 3 weeks before the move-out deadline, I brought it back. I invited everyone Ruth would have invited. Linda and her husband, Luke's family, Susan Patel, our neighbors, former teachers, several of Ruth's old art students, our pastor and his wife. I told Kendra I wanted one final family gathering before making a decision about the house. She misunderstood. Her expression softened. I'm glad you're finally thinking clearly. That evening, I heard her tell Adam I was backing down. They began planning how to use the gathering. Kendra ordered matching shirts for herself, Adam, and Madison. Mercer Family Strong. Madison announced that she would live stream a raw family healing moment. Adam called relatives and suggested I might be transferring responsibility for the house to him. I let them believe it. On Saturday morning, Luke arrived early to help set up tables. Susan brought 2 pans of cornbread. Linda hugged me longer than usual. By noon, the yard was full. Children ran beneath the dogwood trees. Ruth's former students shared stories near the garage. For an hour, I almost forgot why everyone had gathered. Then Kendra emerged wearing her matching shirt. She moved among the guests, telling them how difficult the previous weeks had been. Madison set a phone on a tripod near the deck. A red light showed that she was broadcasting. Adam stood beside the grill, accepting sympathy. I watched my son turn my boundary into his sacrifice. At 2 o'clock, I tapped a spoon against a glass. The yard quieted. Ruth's cedar chest rested on a small table beside me. Several people recognized it. I want to thank everyone for coming, I began. Ruth loved this day, even though she made enough food for twice the number of guests, and then complained when anyone took leftovers home. People laughed softly. I stopped hosting after she died because I thought keeping everything unchanged was the same as honoring her. I rested my hand on the lid. I was wrong. Adam's shoulders stiffened. Several weeks ago, I discovered this chest was missing. Adam had taken it from my bedroom and sold it to pay for a trip to Las Vegas. A murmur moved through the yard. Kendra's face lost color. Adam stepped away from the grill. Dad, this is not the place. It became the place when you told our family I could no longer manage my own decisions. Madison moved toward the tripod. Susan stepped beside it. You wanted everyone to see a family moment, she said quietly. Madison stopped. I opened the chest. The antique dealer discovered a hidden compartment. Ruth left me a key and a letter. The yard became still. I will not read the entire letter. It was written to me, but I will read 3 parts. My voice shook as I unfolded the paper. Then it steadied. An empty home can be filled again. A home full of people who do not respect you can make you lonelier than silence ever will. No one moved. I read the second passage. The house is a home, Tom. It is not Adam's future prize. Adam's jaw tightened. Kendra whispered, This is disgusting. I read the final line. Do not mistake being needed for being loved well. The backyard fell silent. Adam stepped forward. So Mom wrote one bitter letter, and now you're using it to destroy us. She wrote it years before she died. You don't know what state of mind she was in. I knew your mother for 44 years. She loved me. Yes, then why would she write that? Because love did not make her blind. Adam looked around. No one rushed to defend him. Kendra raised her voice. We moved into this house to care for Thomas. Susan answered before I could. No, you didn't. Kendra turned. Excuse me. I drove Tom to urgent care when he injured his ankle because none of you answered your phones. We were busy. You were at a brewery, Susan said. You posted photographs. Several guests looked toward Kendra. I placed the bank printout on the table. Adam secretly used a card connected to my account and spent more than $3,400. His face reddened. That money was for the household. Name one utility you paid. He said nothing. One grocery trip. Silence. One home repair. Nothing. Madison looked at him. You told me Grandpa asked you to use that card. Adam looked away. Her face changed. Not because strangers were watching, because she had realized her parents lied to her too. Comments moved quickly across the phone screen. One remained visible long enough for Madison to read aloud without meaning to. Your grandpa has receipts, and your mom keeps changing the story. Don't turn the camera off now. Kendra reached for the phone. End it! Madison pulled it away. Did Grandpa ask Dad to use that card? This is not the time. That isn't an answer. Adam moved toward the deck. This is enough. No, I said. It is finally enough. I placed the move-out notice beside the cedar chest. Their permission to live in my home ends in 22 days. Kendra looked around at the guests. You all hear this. He is making his own son homeless. Adam's cousin Mark spoke from beside the fence. You're 43, Adam. Adam turned sharply. Mark continued. Your father is not making you homeless. He is no longer housing you for free. You don't know our situation. I know you asked me for $5,000 last month and said it was for an apartment deposit. Kendra stared at Adam. You told me Mark refused to invest in my boutique. Mark shook his head. You never mentioned the boutique. The lies had begun colliding. I did not need to push them. Truth, once given enough room, did its own work. Adam looked at me. What do you want? Do you want us to beg? I want you out by the date on that notice. And then what? I am selling the house. Kendra made a strangled sound. Number? Yes. You can't. I signed the listing agreement yesterday. The backyard became silent again. Adam stared at me as though he no longer recognized my face. You sold Mom's house. I am selling my house. Where are we supposed to go? You have 22 days to answer that. We can pay rent. You had nearly 3 years to contribute. You never made it official. I should not have needed a contract to persuade my adult son to buy groceries. He shook his head. You've changed. Yes, I don't know who you are anymore. For the first time in years, I said I do. Kendra grabbed her purse. We're leaving. Mark glanced toward the house. You live here. She glared at him. I mean this circus. Madison removed the phone from the tripod. She looked at me. Was everything you said true? Yes. Then she looked at her parents. Neither answered. Kendra walked through the side gate. Madison followed slowly. Adam remained beside the deck. For one moment, the anger left his face. He looked younger, lost. Did Mom really think I was that bad? The question hurt more than everything else he had said. She thought you could become better. And you, I have spent 43 years believing your next promise. His expression hardened again. So that's it. No. This is a consequence. What happens after it is still your choice. He left without another word. By Monday, Madison had deleted the caregiver videos and posted a correction saying I was mentally capable and had never depended on them for daily care. Kendra's largest local consignment partner had watched the live stream. The owner canceled their arrangement after learning Kendra had used a false caregiving story to promote her business. Several relatives who had regularly lent Adam money told him they would not do it again. For the first time, his problems could not be transferred to someone else. The house went on the market the following week. Kendra tried to sabotage the first showing by warning the buyers about flooding in a basement we did not have. My agent ended that quickly. From then on, all three were required to leave during showings. A week later, Emily and Javier Morales toured the house with their 6-year-old daughter, Sophia. Emily worked as a nurse in Knoxville. Javier repaired commercial heating systems. They were expecting another child in the fall. I waited in my truck across the street. Sophia ran beneath Ruth's dogwood trees. Javier studied the deck. Emily stood in the kitchen with one hand resting against her stomach. I recognized the expression on her face. It was the expression Ruth had worn in 1988. She was not looking at my past. She was imagining her family's future. They made an offer that evening. It was $7,000 below asking. My agent suggested we counter. Do they love the house? I asked. Yes. Accept it. You may be leaving money on the table. I have left enough of my life on the table. 2 nights before the move-out deadline, I found Adam in my bedroom with his hands resting on Ruth's cedar chest. Step away from it. He turned. It was Mom's. It is mine. I should have something of hers. You received her restoration tools, her books, 2 boxes of family photographs, and the oak desk she repaired for your 18th birthday. I didn't know there was money hidden in this. There it was. Would the chest mean less without money? That isn't what I said. It is exactly what you said. He ran his thumb across the maple dogwood. Mom made this before I was born. Yes, it is part of my history too. You sold it without opening it. I made a mistake. You did not look at our photograph. You did not read the cards. You did not notice the false bottom. You saw $1,100. His face tightened. I was angry because you refused to help with Vegas. You punished me by selling your mother. That isn't fair. It is more fair than what you did. He stepped away from the chest. Did she leave me anything? She left you the oak desk she restored. Her tools, her books, every photograph from your childhood, and 43 years of being your mother. He looked down. You left most of those things in my garage. The only object you came back for was the one you thought contained cash. He said nothing. So yes, Adam, your mother left you something. You never learned how to recognize value unless it had a price. He walked out. The moving truck arrived on their final morning. Kendra issued frantic instructions. Boxes scraped across the floors. Closet doors slammed. I remained in the kitchen with Luke and Susan. I wanted witnesses not because I expected violence, but because I no longer trusted private endings. At noon, Kendra carried out the final bin of boutique merchandise. She stopped beside the dining table. You ruined my business. I provided free space for it. You humiliated us. You lied publicly. You could have handled it privately. I tried. You told me no one would believe me. Her eyes filled. Adam may never speak to you again. That will be his decision. You're his father. You are supposed to forgive him. I can forgive someone without continuing to finance his behavior. Kendra lifted the bin. We did care about you. You cared as long as caring cost you nothing. She left without replying. Madison came next. She carried the photograph from our first apartment in both hands. I found this in Dad's box, she said. Mom said it could go into storage. She held it out. I thought you should have it. Thank you. Without makeup and ring lights, she looked younger than 22. I deleted the posts. I told people you weren't sick. That was the truth. She nodded. Are you still angry with me? I am hurt. That's worse. Yes. Her eyes filled. Can I visit after you move? Not immediately. She flinched. But someday. If you come to see me, not what I can give you. How will you know? I won't. Trust has to be rebuilt without guarantees. She nodded slowly. Then she hugged me. I did not pull away. But I did not confuse the hug with repair. It was only a beginning. Adam was last. He carried a cardboard box containing family photographs and one of Ruth's old paint-splattered aprons. At the front door, he placed it on the floor. You chose strangers over us. No, I chose not to be used by you. We would have taken care of you when you got older. I am older. You know what I mean? Yes, you mean when I became easier to control. His face hardened. You think Mom was some saint because she wrote a letter? No, your mother had flaws, so do I. Then why does her opinion matter more than mine? Because her words matched your actions. He looked toward the moving truck. We don't have enough for the apartment Kendra wanted. I'm sorry. You could fix that. I could. He waited. I said nothing. So you are going to watch your own son struggle. I watched you struggle for years. Then I removed every obstacle, paid every bill, and called it help. You are trying to teach me a lesson. No, I am refusing to repeat mine. He picked up the box. At the doorway, he stopped. Did you ever love me as much as Mom did? The question nearly broke me. I loved you so much that I kept saving you from every consequence I said. I am only beginning to understand how much that damaged both of us. For 1 second, I thought he might cry. Instead, he carried the box outside. The moving truck pulled away at 4:27. Kendra sat in the passenger seat. Madison followed in the SUV. Adam did not look back. I stood on the porch until both vehicles disappeared. Then I entered the house. The silence was enormous. Every room showed evidence of them. Scratches in the hardwood, tape on the dining room wall, a broken cabinet hinge, a makeup stain on the guest room carpet, a hole in the garage drywall. I photographed everything. Not because I planned to pursue them for damages, because I had spent years doubting my own experience. The photographs were proof for the part of me that might later remember only Adam's childhood smile. When I finished, I sat at the kitchen table. The refrigerator hummed. A clock ticked above the doorway. No television shouted from the living room. No packages blocked the hall. I could hear the dogwood branches touching the window. Then I cried. Not neatly, not quietly. I lowered my head onto my arms and cried for Ruth, for Adam, for Madison, and for the years I had confused rescuing someone with loving them. I cried because I needed a hidden letter from my dead wife before I trusted what was happening in front of me. When the tears stopped, I made one grilled cheese sandwich. Not 4. I washed one plate. I turned off the lights in the empty rooms. Then I carried Ruth's cedar chest into my bedroom. The sale closed 3 weeks later. Emily and Javier arrived with Sophia, who wore a bright yellow dress and carried a stuffed rabbit. At the end, I placed the keys on the table. Emily touched them with both hands. Are you sure? She was not asking about the paperwork. She understood what the house meant. Yes, we will take care of it. Live in it, I said. Don't preserve it for me. Javier smiled. Sophia chose the room beside the dogwood trees. Sophia lifted the rabbit. Ruby chose it. I laughed. Before leaving, Emily handed me an envelope. I opened it later in my truck. Mr. Mercer, thank you for trusting us with the place where your family began. We know a house can hold wonderful memories and painful ones. We will fill it with birthdays, muddy shoes, burnt dinners, homework arguments, apologies, and love. We hope knowing that makes leaving easier. Emily, Javier, Sophia, and baby Morales. I placed the letter beside Ruth's. One had told me when to leave. The other reminded me that leaving did not erase what had once been good. I bought a small 2-bedroom cottage in a 55-plus community near Townsend. Morning fog settled between the mountains. The cottage had a sunny kitchen, a small porch, and a detached garage large enough for a workbench. I paid cash using part of the house proceeds. I brought Ruth's writing desk home from the Makers Cooperative and placed it beside the living room window. The cedar chest sat beneath it. Not hidden, visible, the false compartment held her letter and the brass key. In November, Madison sent me a handwritten letter. She wrote that she had started working 3 days a week at a dental office and registered for one community college class. She did not ask for money. She admitted that the caregiver posts were lies. She said she had watched the backyard live stream again and did not like the person she heard herself becoming. I invited her to lunch for 2 hours. She came alone. She brought no camera. When she asked whether I trusted her, I told her the truth. Not yet. The answer hurt her. But she did not argue. That's fair, she said. Before leaving, she washed both bowls without being asked. It was a small thing. Small things were how entitlement had grown. Perhaps small things could also rebuild respect. Adam did not visit. He called once from an unfamiliar number and asked for $6,000. I refused. I offered to meet for lunch, review a budget, and help him search for work. He said everything came with conditions now. Respect always had conditions, I told him. I simply stopped pretending otherwise. He ended the call. I cried afterward. Boundaries did not remove pain. They prevented pain from running the house. By spring, Linda told me Adam had found a job managing deliveries for a building supply company. He disliked the hours. He kept the job. That was more progress than any check from me had ever purchased. On what would have been Ruth's 71st birthday, I returned to the middle school where she had taught art. The art room still contained several cabinets she had restored years earlier. The equipment was old, and the program budget was small. A sign Ruth had painted still hung above the supply closet. Make something before you decide you can't. I laughed through my tears. Using part of the money she had saved, I purchased new tools, art supplies, and enough wood for a year of student projects. A small brass plaque was attached to a new workbench. In memory of Ruth Mercer, leave every place more beautiful than you found it. Martin Alvarez attended the dedication. He ran his hand across the maple surface. Your wife hid that key well, he said. She knew Adam would never look beneath the price. And you, I was looking for a memory. What did you find? I watched the students gather around the new tools. Myself eventually. That evening I sat on my porch with Ruth's cedar chest beside me. The mountains were dark against a pink sky. I removed her letter from the hidden compartment. I no longer needed to read all 6 pages. I knew the important lines. Choose your peace. Choose yourself at least once. For most of my life, I believed dignity was something other people gave you by treating you well. I know better now. Family reveals itself in ordinary moments. Who notices when you are tired? Who returns what they borrow? Who protects your private grief? Who can hear the word no without turning your love into a weapon? Ruth's greatest gift was not the money. It was not even the letter. It was knowing that I might become trapped by my own kindness, and trusting that I could still find my way out. I returned the letter to the chest. The maple dogwood on the lid was still uneven, so was the road that had brought me there. But both had held. The next morning I made coffee for one, exactly one. Then I walked into the garage. An unfinished oak cabinet waited on the workbench. One door hung slightly crooked. For a moment, I imagined Ruth standing beside me, running a finger along the edge and pointing out where I had gone wrong. Then I picked up a screwdriver and adjusted the hinge myself. So tell me honestly, if your own child sold the one keepsake you had left from your spouse, lied about caring for you, and treated your home like an inheritance waiting to happen, would you forgive them and try again? Or would you choose your peace and walk away?